Hi, this is Ginger Cook, and these are the instructions for the puzzle challenge. Every one of you will have gotten a different piece of the puzzle, and we will email it to you, and it will be this size. But that's a little hard to see, so we suggest you enlarge it so it's a little bit larger to this size, which is basically 8 by 10. All right? So you're going to make your piece a little bit bigger, and you're going to print it out 8 by 10. And I'm going to suggest that you paint it on an 8 by 10 canvas because that will be much easier. Now, I've looked at these, and I think the color we're going to use, because we're using an ODG, is I'm going to suggest black, cad yellow medium, yellow oxide, burnt umber, and burnt sienna, and white for now if I see something else. But I think those are probably the primary colors. If you end up in one of the, end up with the square that has more color, just use your own best judgment on it, all right? Now, what you're going to want is some sort of T-square or triangle, because in order for these pieces to fit, for instance, if you have a straight line and there's a puzzle piece above it, chances are this line will continue. So you want to make sure you get the lines in the right places and straight. That's real important, all right? Maybe this little knob here isn't so important, but that would be, and maybe this line across here. So what you want, that's why I suggest you print it out the size that you're going to do it. Now, for instance, I'm going to do two for you. I'm going to do a simple one and a more complicated one, all right? I'm going to do both of these. I'm going to do these two for you to show you how to do it, all right? And I don't think it's going to take you very long. Now, the background here is just sort of a moss green. I don't think it really matters, but I think probably for the sake of doing something like this, it would be much easier if this were a darker canvas. So probably a dark brown like this would be easier than that green one, but I just was looking for two 8 by 10 canvases. So the first one I'm going to start off with is this. Now, you're going to have a tiny bit of bleed at the top and the bottom to be exact, and that's great because that's where John's going to piece all these together. So what you want to do is with your ruler, you want to measure, for instance, like from the edge here, I know that I want, let me just use my ruler here. I'm going to come over here to get to this edge here. I want 3.5 inches. Do you see that? Not quite, 3 3/4 inches right there. So I want to make sure that that's where my line's going to start. So just put your print out there so you have it, right? Then come on up here like this, and we know that it's going to be not 3.5, it's going to be this right there. So just line your picture up and see if it's correct, right? Did you get it in the right place? I think that's going to be that straight line there, right? And that I'm just going to take my T-square and come all the way down like this and draw a straight line like that, right? Just with the chalk, because that's going all the way down, all right? And then I want to measure down from the top 1.5 inches. I think that's this one. This is 1.5 inches, but we've got a little bit of a bleed here from the top, so I'll probably go down a little bit further than that. 1.5 inches is this. I'm going to go down just a little bit further, and I'm going to draw a line like this, because I figure I've got about this much bleed at the top where we're not going to use it. So I'll come down just a little bit further and draw a line like that. That's this square here is that one, okay? Does that make sense? And then I'll measure here. This is real, it's going to be so easy, you're going to love it. This is so easy. We'll come up here from the bottom and do the same thing. This is about 2 inches from the bottom. Again, go up a little higher than that because we've got a bleed. Just a tiny bit more than that, about 1/4 inch more than that. We're going to say this isn't all that straight, but there's a couple of lines right in here like that. Yes and yes. And then, if you want to just kind of figure out where that circle is, I mean, I could measure from the bottom and tell you exactly where that circle is. It's 2.5 inches up from the bottom. Did I guess right? I did, right? So there you go. There's my circle. And how big across is it? How wide is it? It's going to be 1 3/4 inches wide. So I'm going to have it a little bit bigger than I had it, like that. And how far away from the edge is it? That's pretty accurate here, about 1 1/4 inches 1/4 from the edge. Yeah, all right, so that's my circle, and that's really all the drawing that's in this. I guess I could put this crack in too if I wanted to be really accurate where that went. Because the more accurate you are, the more these are going to fit together. So don't stress too much, but think about this. This crack's about 3 inches over from this line here. There's a crack that's going up like this. And let's see, let's just move this one over a little bit. It's coming up about like this, and something like that. There's a crack here, and then there's one right down from the edge of here. So you can measure. Now that's really all the measurement I'm going to do on this, okay? So I don't want you to think that you have to be that careful, but if you can get these, remember your piece is going to line up with somebody else's. So we've got these different, this different paint here, the black, the burnt umber, the raw umber, burnt sienna yellow, oxide, and a cad yellow medium. So let's just start by making a green. Here's black and yellow, and that makes a really good green, doesn't it? That's just, look at that beautiful green, and put a little yellow oxide in that. That's a pretty good green. If I wanted it a little bit darker, I might put a little brown in it. Okay? And I'm just going to come down here like this with my brush and just kind of drag it down like that. It's not real wet. I'm just kind of dragging this down over it like this. There you go, kind of over there. We're going to just drag this brush down like this. I've already got kind of a brown background here. Okay, and I want you to see how I'm painting this because, you know, it's really not that, it's not that tricky. I think you guys are gonna think it's gonna take you a lot longer than not, and then it actually is. All right. So, because remember, where's our little piece to this? Where'd my little piece go? Here's the little piece right here. Here's our little piece. That's what we're painting. That's the little piece. And we've blown it up a little bit bigger, yeah? And just using the black, the brown, a little bit, kind of got this sort of moss green color going on this, like that. Okay. Now that's pretty easy. Now I'm going to take a little bit of raw umber, and that's a transparent color, and I might just brush some of that over this, just very gently. Just brush a little bit of raw umber here, just using the edge of my brush like that. Just doesn't have to be too perfect at this size. This is going to look so cute when it's all put together, okay? So we've got a few little cracks, and I know I want something like that, okay? So a little bit of our raw umber being brushed this way, and then I know I've got something pretty dark here, a little raw umber and black. I want this very dark up here. This little square up here is dark, so I'll put that in. And then I'll take these same colors, and I'm going to go this way, across this way, with this. Just drag this green going across, like that. A moss green color. So the black really turns it in there. If you want it a little bit warmer, you can put a little bit of burnt sienna in it, but I think really the burnt umber and the yellow oxide is good too. That's another kind of greenish brown color. And we'll come down to about here, like that. Yeah, actually I like a little bit of the burnt umber in there too. That's pretty. I'm just going to drag some of that across here like that and just give it this old weathered look, yeah? And then come down under here like this and do the same thing here, like that. Come all the way this way. This is a pretty easy piece to put in. Now take a little bit of black and brown, and I want this to, I don't want, this is kind, it's not really, this one's a kind of a, it's kind of straight, but it kind of isn't. Does that make sense? So there's this kind of like line like that, little black and burnt umber, and then I'm going to come down here like this and put this line in like that right next to the line that I did right there. There's that, yeah. And remember, this doesn't have to be, you don't have to use tape or anything because this is old wood, so we've got a little bit of leeway here, right? This is really old wood, and we know that we want something kind of dark around our knob here. And I know I want something real dark right there, a little bit of black and burnt umber. I want something kind of dark right there, and right dark over here, okay? few little dark lines going down like that. Okay, so now this is so easy, you guys. Now we're gonna paint our knob. Okay. Now I'm going to take a little bit of yellow oxide and yellow, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to come around here. If this was a clock, between 1 o'clock and 5 o'clock, I think, I'm going to come around here and do this light area like this. Maybe I'll put a little tiny bit of white with that. I want that a little bit lighter. Okay. All right, like that, right? Now I've got that, and then I'll just keep going with this. Here we go. So there's this, like that. Okay, there's our light. I think I need a smaller brush for that. That wasn't as effective as I wanted, so I'll come back with a little brush maybe. Just do this. Then we've got a little bit of light right here, like this. And we got a little bit of light right next to here, like this. See what we're doing? Something kind of light right there, not as light as that, right? Okay. And there's a little light right up here, like this on this one right here, just kind of a little bit light. Just it's sort of everything's sort of fuzzy, so it doesn't have to be too perfect. There it goes. And how about in here? A little bit of this light color right in here, like this. Okay. Now, all right, let's do a little bit of the dark color around our knob here. Let's just give it a little bit more dark, kind of give it a circle, but it's the shadow side right in here. And here we go. Just, okay, there's our, all right, now that really is your puzzle piece, pretty much. There's a little light piece in here, okay? Now that's really, you don't have to do a lot much more than that. Remember, you've got a little bit of a bleed here coming. Now, if you, let me just double check and make sure that I didn't get this too crooked here. Let me just check this line. Right, like that. And I didn't get that line straight, so I can fix that. Okay. Now, when I say I want to fix it, I still want the edge to be a little bit less perfect. Does that make sense? So I might come in here like this, pull this back. And that light, I don't need anything that light, but there's a little bit of a lighter edge here, like this on here. These are very simple colors for most of this. I don't think you guys are going to have any trouble doing it. And the same thing here. Let me just put my, let me just put this down here like this, and there we go. Just pull that this way. Just pull your brush. Brush directions, everything. I'm going to pull that this way. All right, so there, you guys, is my piece. Okay? That's my puzzle piece. Let me just fix that. All right, and I think I could do something a little lighter in a couple places. Now, you can play a little bit with lights and darks. I know, for instance, that right in here on this one, it's a little bit lighter. Right here. It's not white, though, so I think that's the mistake, that you'd think it would be white, and it's not. So, but it is a lighter color right around this part of the knob. A little bit over here. We're just going to lighten up this knob in a few places. Okay. And so, you know, you've got some, and if you want to play a little bit and add a little bit more, but don't overwork it. Make this fun. You should be able to do this in maybe 30 minutes. How long has this taken me, John? 14? I think you could easily do something like this in 30 minutes. You've got a little bit of a, you know, just play a little bit with the lights and darks in your own area. Just sit there and say, well, okay, I've got a little bit of light here maybe on this. Play it down. It does, again, puzzle piece number 1, all right? Or whatever number this was, right? Now, the only thing I don't really like about mine is that fact that this complete circle around here, so I think I might take the dark color and just sort of expand out so it just doesn't look like I outlined that circle that much. Well, there it is, right? There's the knob, and got a little bit of the shading here. There we go. All right, so that's how I did this one. Easy? Yes and yes? You guys feeling pretty confident about that? And I think when you see these together, you're going to be surprised. I'm going to just maybe come down here like this with a little bit of the screen here. Put it over there like that. There you go. This sort of green old wooden barn. Now, this could have a little yellow oxide in it. There you go. Okay, something like that. Just so it looks a little bit. There we go. Ha ha ha. Yes and yes. You could look at this picture for a long time and play with the lights and darks. See what I'm doing? Just saying, okay, I see where there's a little bit of a light right there somewhere. But again, you don't have to get too carried away. But it looks like an old piece of barnwood, doesn't it? Okay, so let's do the other one. Let's do this one now. So that was this piece right here. Okay. Yes and yes. Okay, that's this piece of the puzzle. So I'm now going to move this over, and I'm going to do this one. Can you print me out the little one of this, John, too, so people can see it? I'm going to do this one, and I'm going to do it the same way. I've had the paint out. So I just want you to see. Some of you may be getting the sides are exactly 8, and then there's a little bleed on the top and bottom. All right. So that's all you have to know, and that's where we're going to be able to put them together. So, all right. So I want to come over here with my ruler about from the edge here, I want to come over about 5 inches, right? How about up here? Well, about 4 and 3/4, not quite 5, somewhere between 4 and 3/4 and 5. I'm going to come over here, and somewhere right about there is where I want this straight line, and I want to make it. I want to go straight down here with that. Right? All right, so this is what I'm painting here, okay? Right there, I'm painting this crack, right? So I know that this line here is the one that has to be the most accurate, which is this cross piece right here, yes and yes? So this line here is at 3 3/4 from the bottom, all right? 3 3/4 from the bottom. That would be this, right? Who was I accurate on that or what? Are you amazed? I guessed right. So I'm going to come across here and do this line right here like this. Okay? Now, this line, that's this. So this is doing, there's like a triangular piece here, okay? And then there's a little triangular piece over here like that. And then this line here is how wide? This is 1/4 inch wide. It started up from the bottom here at about 3 1/2 from the bottom. Okay, so 3 1/2 from the bottom is here. So yeah, so just something about like this. That's this one. And then we'll come over in this little square here. That's an easy one. This was 3 1/4 from this side. From the side, 3 1/4 right here. So that's this right here, and how far? And it comes down to here again. All right. So I'm just going to put that in. Make sure your measurements are right that way. This comes down here like that, and then there's another one. This will be important. This one is like 1/2 inch on the side here. It's just like a 1/2 inch. It's coming down like this, and it comes up, and where it ends is 3 inches from the bottom here. So it's ending here. All right, so that's this piece. And you're going, really? That's all there is to this? It's kind of all there is to it. Again, we'll show you again. This was a lighter green. Now the other color I'm going to add now because we're doing, I think I can still use the burnt sienna. Let's see if we can use these colors. I think for the most part we can use these colors. So, all right, so we said a little bit of black and yellow and a little bit of burnt umber is our barn color, yes? So I want to just come up here like this and paint that in. Now I'm excited. We're going to put all these together, and I think if it comes out as well as I'm hoping it will, right? Yes, we can have a really neat looking T-shirt made, and of course everybody will get. You know what you need to do, John, is turn the AC on in here, if it isn't on already. It's getting hot in this room, by the way, for that because we got a show tonight. All right, so I'm coming down with this. Now, here's our black, and here's our little black line right here, like this. And we kind of do it in a circle, and this one's coming out here, a little bit of black right there. Okay, and this line is some black right here. It's not completely straight, and there's a little bit of black above this. Okay, and then now the fun thing about this board is it's all going sideways this way. So this board's going across this way, like this. And I think if everybody uses these colors, I think it will come in pretty well. Don't you think, John?
Absolutely.
So we're just going to say, here's our board coming across. And get it streaky. You want it kind of streaky. You want the feeling of something old and streaky, okay? So that there's a sort of a continuity to this. All right, there's like a little bit of a streaky right here. So right up from the bottom, about there, it's this little streak right here, this little crack. And then this little crack is in here. Let's put some raw umber with that. So we kind of gray it out. Here's this little more yellow oxide. This line going straight across here like that. Okay. And we got a little bit of a line doing this. This is our crack in the window. And same thing here, like that. I don't know if it's a window, but it's like a crack. This is coming down like this. And let's put a little bit of burnt sienna and yellow together. And warm that up a bit. A little bit of white, yellow. And let's just warm this one up just a bit. Same thing with this. We'll warm that up. Okay, so far so good. Isn't that interesting how this works? Now we've got the same color right here, this sort of yellow oxide burnt sienna mixture right here. That's on this piece right here, okay? And then we've got in this other part, we've got burnt sienna, which is your light color. And that's kind of in here like that. It's all kind of smushed around. Burnt sienna, a little bit of white. My brush is kind of dirty, so that's going to work here like that. A little bit more white with that. Okay, because that's pretty light. Okay. I'm going to say that that's this in here. And then the dark part, which I'll do a little bit of dark part, is, you know, this is just in here like this. This is pretty dark. Probably should have done the dark first and then put the light over it, but that's what we've got, right? Okay, so far so good, yeah? A little yellow oxide with that too. Here, this is a bit redder. I could have used Cad Red Medium, but I think the burnt sienna is going to work just fine because that's this sort of light color. And notice I haven't had to dry much of anything, right? Now, there's a little bit of this right here. You want to measure down from this line. There's a little bit of there's a little thing here, and there's the start of a little button right here. And if I come over this way, coming up here, there's a little button right here. If you print this out, you can almost use your picture as a guide to what's going where. Should really dry that before I do too much else. Let me just give this a quick dry real quick, and so I can go ahead and finish the details on it, all right? Okay, so I want to make this little knob a little bit brighter than I had it. Okay, this little rusty knob. Same thing over here. I think these are on the same, these should be level. These two should be, if you're saying this one's here, then the bottom of this should be here too. So I'm going to say this is this one over here. Where's the top of it? Oh, don't think I'll make that other one that big. Just cut that one down a little bit, because this has to be coming over this way. All right. So that's these two guys right here. Our little rusty knobs. And remember, everything looks good because there's a shadow, right? So we're going to say there's a dark shadow next to this knob here. This is creating a shadow here. It's going to come back here and just sort of smudge out. There's a little dark shadow under this one. Let's make sure we've got the shadows down the way we want them. Can you see when you make something this big, it really quite works, doesn't it? I mean, it's interesting, I think. Don't you think it's interesting? And this just kind of is all green here. So it doesn't come down that far. This light line here just kind of stops here and does this. Interesting, yeah? And this comes, just kind of pay attention to shapes. Turn it upside down if you have to, if you're not sure about the shape. Don't want anything that bright. Okay, so here's our all right, you see how we're painting these? I think you can see how we're painting this in, and don't be afraid to turn it upside down, because you want to make sure you've got the boards all the way down where they go. So if I turn this upside down like this, I have my line here. So this get this black out of the way. Here's my yellow and black and a little burnt umber, right? Okay. Here's this color here. I want to come up here to this board edge and make sure that I have this correct. So don't be afraid. You can go over it if you need to a little bit. Just like I say, just paint what's in your section and you should be fine. Absolutely, you should be fine if you paint just what's in your section. Now I'm going to turn this around again. Let's see, do we have kind of a dark, maybe we have a little bit of a dark line down here too. Maybe we're going to come up here like this. Take a little yellow. Come up this way. I wouldn't sand the canvas too much. I'd keep it. This is very kind of rough looking wood stuff here. So like I say, I wouldn't make a habit of sanding the canvas too much. just layer it a little bit so that you want everything to kind of look old. This is very light right here. This is our lightest crack. This is very light crack right here, coming up here like this. And like this, a little bit here. It's less of a straight line and more something like that, right? And you got a little crack right there. Got a little bit of this color in here, not too much. Yeah. And then, oh, look at here, I think this is a nail. It's hard to see. You printed me out a small one. Here's the small piece to this, right? And pretty sure that's a nail. So let's see if I can paint that nail in with black and yellow oxide. Let's see if I can put this nail in here like this. Oh, it's got a light side to it. Okay. And then there's a shadow right next to it. It's interesting. It's almost green. Let's give us a yellow nail. And then there's a shadow going this way. Making it look like it's standing out from the wall. That comes all the way down here into this thing. Okay, so there's our picture. That's our little one. There's our big one. What else do we have to do? Do a little more lights and darks. And kind of seeing how we're doing this. So again, I don't want you to go too crazy, and and stuff. To try to work your. If you know you've got a circle here, then get that circle like that. Get your circles. Okay, like that. Make sure you've got your darks underneath them. Figure out where your darks are. Take a black and white and make sure that you've got all that. But I think you're going to do fine with this. I personally believe this is going to be one of your funnest paintings yet. And these are kind of cute all by themselves, aren't they, John?
Yeah, they really are.
And this should have gone straight down, and I don't feel like it did. That's all right. I know how to do that. This should have gone straight down, but you know what? We're empowered to move it over, yeah? That's why I want you to have your your dark colors, Like I'm gonna say this is my dark right here. There we go. All right, so that's. Let's see. There was a little light. Can you see it? Like a little crack right there. And then there was a little dark thing off next to it. Okay, and then around this shadow, now this was interesting. Now that I'm looking at it, around this shadow, it was lighter. Now, what do I do about that? Well, I'll just kind of blend that in with the brush. But it was a little bit lighter around that shadow. And let's see, you can't really see that much with the nail. So, I believe it's a nail, but you know what? I'm going to put that same shadow on this one too. It kind of goes this way. And something a little lighter next to it. All right, so you guys, what do you think? Did we do pretty good with this? Uh, I think we did, don't you, John?
Looks good to me.
Let's make that nail a little rustier so you can kind of see it. Oh, isn't that something when you see something and you absolutely see something and that this shadow's coming off of here like that, and this shadow's not there. I'm getting too much paint on the brush now. Should have dried it a little bit more. But I wanted this shadow. You see it? This shadow had to come directly off of this, from this nail. Does that make sense? So it had to come down like this and come there more like this. There you go. That's where the shadow had to do like that. So there's the shadow for the nail. And there we go. All right, so you guys, that's what, here you go. Here's our little piece, right? That's what we're painting. And remember, it's all kind of broken edge. And if you stand back and look at the little piece, you'll see, like, for instance, this edge here isn't as perfect as I made it, right? I got a little bit too perfect. So don't sweat the small stuff, you know, just this edge here is coming down like that, and it's not that perfect. The wood is sort of splintering here. Okay? Don't panic on this. I don't want you to panic on this at all. Okay? I want you to see where that wood might put a little raw umber over this bright spot because it's a little too bright. There we go. All right, that's our piece here. Here's this piece. Now, let's look. Here's this piece. I want you to see, even though these actually don't go together, do you see how they, in a sense they do? These are not meant to go together, by the way. They're in two different parts of the painting, but you see how the wood all matches. Does that make sense? So if you use these colors, I think you're going to be in good shape. You know, don't sweat the small stuff on this. It's all small stuff, but just make sure that you've got stuff lined up just the way you want it. I'm going to just round that out a little more. Now I'm looking at it. I can look at it. All right, I think you can do it. Now we got 64 pieces. And if you take a photograph of those and send them to us, and you make sure that they're cropped really well, not all cattywampus, and then John will cut them and put all the pieces together. And then we're going to give you guys a certificate with the final grouping of pieces, so you'll see exactly what the painting is. You'll know what the painting is, and everybody's name that participated will be on the certificate. And if they come out really well, and if it comes out as good as I hope it comes out, then we're going to do a T-shirt. Okay? We just think that would be really nice. Yes and yes? So, if we have more than 64 participants, we'll create another puzzle, but it'll be done the same way. Does that make sense? It'll be done the same way. So, don't sign it. Do not sign it. Yes, we're going to say that again. Do not sign it. We need these in
a week after the deadline.
So if they get, we're gonna email you out in the next what?
We're gonna email out on the 17th.
On the 17th, we'll email out.
17th, we'll email out. We need back on the 25th.
We need them back by the 25th of April. Absolutely. They all have to come back by the 25th of April. If you have any issues, use the contact us on the website, gingercooklive.gallery. Use the and talk to the tech bear. We're here to help. We want this to be fun. Does that make sense? We want this to be fun. Like I say, you can have fun with this. There's no reason why you can't have fun with this. I see this and I think, why can't this be just one of the funnest things you've done all week? Why not? And it's a community thing. It's something you'll always remember. These pieces, you'll always remember. They're kind of interesting by themselves, kind of little abstract pieces, don't you think, John?
I think it's great.
They're kind of fun. Just
This is called a community puzzle project.
Community puzzle project, right?
The CPP.
PPP. So I got you guys. That's what we did. I hope that you have fun doing them, and I hope this video is very clear. Let's go over the colors again: raw umber, burnt sienna, burnt umber, cad yellow medium, yellow oxide, black, and white.
What black did you use?
And I just used them. I don't think it really matters. I used it. It was in this kit here, but it's oxide black, but kind of a flat black. You want the black so that the greens will all be the same. That's why you want to use black, so that everybody will have the same greens then, the same kind of greenish brown wood. That's why it'll all tie together. That's why it's going to be important to use black. All right. Someone's going to ask if they can use Payne's Gray, and here's what's going to happen. Let me tell you why you might not want to do that. Here's Payne's Gray has blue in it, and we haven't done any of that, right? So let me just show you. If you do Payne's Gray in yellow, right? Like for instance, here's yellow, and here's some Payne's Gray. You're going to still get the green. It's going to be a little bit too green. Do you see how much greener this got? It's going to be too green. So don't use Payne's Gray. It's got too much blue in it, so we don't want that. So don't use. You'd have to put so much brown in that to work, right? Wouldn't they? You'd have to. You're not going to get the same color, so that's why I would suggest not using paint. You can even just see how much different that is than if we just use black and yellow. See, it's just that's why we're going to suggest not doing that. All right. So there you go, you guys. Let's see what we can do. Hope this video was helpful. I'm excited we're doing it, and can't wait to see what you paint.